So, today's episode, we're going to be talking about debt and our ancestral trauma when it comes to debt, or rather, the ignoring of debt, how we deal with debt, and looking at debt in a more ancestral lens and more systemic lens. And we're going to be working in the field, in the knowing field. We're going to be working emoyeni ngokamoya, and look into the issue of debt, and more specifically look into running away from our debt. How can we deal more with that? I figured this is a good topic to dive into since it's January and it's the beginning of the year, and it's kind of that time where everyone just feel they have no money and they're here with debt. And so I thought this is what I can offer when it comes to debt. So welcome. First, debt. I describe debt as not just owing someone money, but owing someone when you had made a promise to someone and you're not living up to that promise. So that's what I mean by debt. But specifically, I am talking about financial debt, right? I'm talking about money and borrowing money, whether it's from the bank, from the university, or from the car, from mashonisa, or from your friend. That is all debt. That is the money that was given to you for you to pay it back, and you are now liable for that money to be paid back. Now, I'm gonna follow 5 steps in which this session is gonna look into the steps how we can work with our debts, truly, current debts or debts of the future debts that we might have. So, firstly, I do want to start with our parents or our ancestral tendency when it came to debt, or what we saw when it came to debt. And I want to speak to myself and people around me, elders around me, how they were around debts. So we all know the private number that our parents or our aunts, our family members were running away from, right? The private number, the landline, or the aunt, or the man that is selling, my friend that is selling pictures and stuff, and they're telling us to say they're not there, and they dropping the phone. They're like, "Hey, Ikolot," right? We all were growing up with that. We saw the running away of debts. Now, our parents had their own reasons to run, right? They were bottom of the working class, and they didn't have much money. They didn't have financial education on top of that, and so they kind of were put in the situation where they didn't have even enough resources to cover most of their debts that they were having. But I think above all, it was the financial education that they didn't have. But what they were doing did still affect us regardless, right? We did still see, learn, and hear them running, and we were unintentionally learning, right, those tactics. We were learning from them, running away from debts. So the tendency to run, the tendency to not look was already now, right, injected to us. And of course, this is not a video where we are blaming our elders and how they lived their life and how they handled their debts. I think we can all understand that most of them didn't have enough resources, like I already said. And also they didn't have the financial education regarding how to, to use those very little resources that they had. Now, we as adults now in the more progressive world is, we also don't have much resources, well, a lot much than they did, but we are yeah, we are still in the same boat. We still have to pay bills and we still have debts. Now, what I've noticed is that we are still carrying over what we've learned from them, which is not to look at our own debts and not to educate ourselves with financial literacy. Like, we're not educated with how to spend our money and how to deal with debts and stuff like that. So this video is not a financial video, as I'm not a financial advisor. But this is a take in a, as I said earlier, to look at this issue in a more in the field, in the ancestral field, in the spiritual lens. So we're gonna go through 5 steps that I would suggest that we follow in this session process. And the steps, I do want to first say that if these are debts that you feel like they were unfair, or maybe they're not the debts that you made but you have to cover them. I know when someone else's debt, or it's your parents' debt, that you have to cover them and you feel they're not fair for you. So it might be difficult to do this process or to connect in this way. I truly understand that. And yeah, just be aware how you feel, how you are emotionally connected to these debts. Step 1, we're gonna take a piece of paper, an A4 paper or whatever piece of paper you have, and you're gonna write down your debts. Now, that's a very important part, right? Because we are working with looking and not running. So you're gonna take the piece of paper and write all your debts, right? Like university debt, if you have a car debt, a house debt, even like that debt you have from your friend, from your uncle, or from the street vendor that you took a frame from, if people still do that, I don't know. But all of the debt, like, put them all in the paper. And this is one of the biggest step, because it's the scariest. I know for me, I went for a long time without knowing what I really owe. Like, I was not even aware. I just knew money went out and I had no idea what I was even owing, or to adjust my own spending to know how much I need to actually spend, because how much I owe, I wasn't aware. I didn't put it on the paper. I didn't look because I was afraid to look, but also because I thought, you can't look. I wanted to run and just debts. And when money comes out of my account, I just feel this thing. And sometimes there were even money that was coming out that shouldn't have been coming out, but because I wasn't looking, I didn't know. So the first step, you write every single debt that you knowing of, that you have, even if it's 20 rand that you owe to someone at work that it gave you for taxi or whatever. You put everything down. And I would advise that you sit with that for a little bit. You sit with that piece of paper and you look at it, and you sense if you're feeling comfortable or uncomfortable with that. I know for me, doing this exercise, it makes me feel really uncomfortable, or it made me initially feel really uncomfortable to look at my debt, to look how much debt I was in. And even though it was things that I had signed up for, like I had university debt, mostly was education, other education that I'd done. I had, car debts and just debt that I accumulated on the credit card, etc. And looking was the biggest part, that I had to look and say, yeah, this is what I had signed up for. Now I had to look. And that's like making someone a promise. I still put it in. Like, if I say to maybe a niece, or someone, that, okay, I'll get you this thing, or I'll get you that, or they ask me of something and I agree to that, I still consider that as a debt, because it's something that I signed up for and I made a promise, and I have to kind of own up to that. So I kind of put that as part of the debt, and I put that in the list. Okay, step 2, we're gonna make a little line on that page, and it kind of have 2 columns, right? Like I'm showing. So the step 2 will be to write next to the debt. Let's say, for example, here, university, right? And you write if that was a fair trade, or was that something I own up to and something that was good for me. So I write a good debt. So this part is to remind ourselves that this is something for a reason, and it's something that we signed up for, and it's something that we still find value. Now, maybe you might feel it's not a fair trade because maybe you're paying a high interest rate on something, or maybe like you have something against that. You can still write that. You can still write this wasn't a good trade, or this was a bad debt, or a bad decision, a bad debt. That's still fine. You still write a bad debt if that was that, or a good one. So most of mine, because most of my big ones, like my university ones, or anything that had to do with education, for me was a good one because I got something out of that. And like credit card and stuff, for me, that was always the bad one, because usually like I bought something I bought like a jewelry or clothes or whatever, and it was a fleeting thing. It satisfied me for maybe 3 days, and after that, it was just theirs, but the debt was accumulated. The money has been spent. So I find that to be a bad debt. And the reason that I find that to put that as a bad debt, it reminds me the next time I try and make such purchases, I am reminded that actually this doesn't fulfill me, or it's not worth it. Now, step 3 is when you are looking into this list and you're looking into the second column, whether this was a good debt, was a bad debt, was it worth it or not? And then you ask yourself, where do I start? Like, where do I start with these debts? And you can make your choice. You can start from the very bottom, and making a plan, right? Making a plan by saying, okay, I'll start by calling auntie so-and-so who who has lent me this money 5 years ago, and I've been ignoring her ever since, to say, hey, I know I've been ignoring you over the past 5 years, and I know I owe you. I'm really, really sorry. I will try and make means now. I can pay you a little bit, or just us looking at where we can start. And it starts by us facing this big demon of this monster of a debt, right? And facing it head on. And if maybe it's someone you haven't spoken to in a while, and your debt is literally, the cause of your relationship to fade, you need to be the one to take the initiative to call them, to write to them and say, hey, I know I still owe you, and I'm going to work on that. And I am going to work on fulfilling my part of this deal, because you did borrow me your money. I will pay you back, right? My grandmother always said, "Icala aliboli." Debts don't expire, right? They really don't expire. So in whatever way you want to look at it, it's not like a grace period, like after 10 years it's no longer a debt, then we don't owe each other, unless someone says, like, you don't have to pay me anymore. Then then that's fine, then it's done. But if there's no such communication, you need to honor your part. Step 3 is more for it's more like a very personal way of taking steps, and where you start, right? As maybe where you start is to find a financial advisor who would look with you and say, okay, we can start here, we can cut there, etc. That may be where you start. And if maybe that's not something you can do, you can start on your own to really look at where is the money coming and how much the money comes, and how much can we allocate to be clearing debt and stuff like that. Now, I know a lot of institutes that do offer such services, and not a lot of money. I'm trying to think of one of them. I forgot it, but yeah. Now, step 4, and our last step here, is to resource ourselves. Because we already acknowledge that we had learned and we had seen our our parents. We have seen our elders, how they dealt with debts, right? Now, this is a time where we call on resources, we call on our ancestral resources to resource us. And by resourcing us, I mean guidance. We call upon guidance to help us to face our debt and to choose to do it differently. We choose not to run, right? We choose to honor our own debt and our own part. So when we honor that in that way, when we are resourcing ourselves, we say to our elders, maybe they're still alive or not, it doesn't matter, that we saw how they dealt with debts in our family, right? And we are choosing to do it differently. We are choosing to handle money in a very different way. And we are choosing to be resourced by money in a very different way, right? And because debt in this instance is about money, right? It means the relationship that we are having with money, if we are running away from paying what basically is owed to people, we are having already a very hide and seek relationship with money. Really, like money is, we don't honor money. Honor money by paying it back when we have gotten it, and we need to honor it. So we also don't look, meaning we don't look at money, we don't respect money in that way. So this last steps, it's about leaving that behind and honoring money and seeing money as the energy that we need in this world, right? It's an exchange of goods, it's a trading unit. It has made life so much easier, because before you had to have something of value to trade to someone to get something else, and if nobody wanted whatever you wanted to trade, then you can't really trade it. So money had made it easy for us to trade and to move around in the world. Now, if we don't recognize the energy of money and the importance to honor and respect money, it won't respect and want to be with you. So you will find yourself literally ego dodger, it's just playing hide and seek with you, right? Because you are not looking at it. So now this is a time where you can offer sentences to money itself. Maybe really take money from your wallet and hold it, if like actual money, or your card, whatever that represents money to you, and you're holding it and you start to honor money and respect it, and say the words that I see your value in my life, and I respect your value and your place in my life, and I want to start to have a different relationship where I show you more respect in my life. And I'll start doing so by honoring my promise to give you back to people that had given me the money, to do the exchange, and honor my debts. Yeah. And this is a very important step, again, because we are now beginning a new relationship with money. We are now beginning a new relationship with dealing with money energetically, right? And we are starting by we are starting by fixing where we have disrespected money, and we are looking into having a new relationship where we show more respect to money itself. And that means we are now going to have to be more aware what money comes into us, how it goes out, how do we spend the money, which will bring me back to step number 2, where we looked, was this a good debt or not? Meaning, how is our money moving? Are we okay with how our money moves? Going back to my credit card example, with the credit card, because I know that I have a credit card, right? I just go and tap and do and just spend money without thinking and without honoring and bringing things that I don't even need most of the time, right? Because I just buy stuff because I'm feeling a void, or because I want to fit in, for whatever reason that is helping me at the time, or that is fulfilling. It's actually not helping me truly. It's not that I'm doing such, using the money to help myself, or I'm showing it respect in any way. Now, we are now starting afresh, and we are saying, I honor, firstly, my word. When I say I'll pay someone, I will pay them back. But also, I will not make debts that are not worth it. Debt are part of life. We will always need people to help us out, because that's what it means. Debt means somebody helped us out on something, whether it's an institute, a bank, or whether it's a friend, right? They were helping us out. And we are now saying, this debt was a way of helping me, and now I honor it. Somebody gave me their resources, the energy of money. And it doesn't matter if it's 1,000 rand, or if it's 100k, or it's 5 rand. It was energy that was given to you. We need to honor every single penny of that, and say, I have to honor my part and give it back, and therefore showing our respect again to money itself. And that's where we're going to leave it today. I hope this healing session was healing. I hope it finds a place in your heart, and that you can work with this process. I think this is a beautiful process to start working with money. And yeah, hopefully you get something out of this video. And thank you so much for watching and for staying till the end. I truly appreciate that. Until we meet each other again on the next one, Nisale Gashe.